The Sunday school lesson for October 26, 2025 is God sees the Samaritan woman. John chapter 4, verses 5 through 19 and verses 28 through 29. Welcome, viewers and subscribers, to my channel, The Backstory and More. I am Audrey. If you are interested in knowing what happens before each Sunday school lesson, you are at the right place, because I will share the backstory, read the lesson text, and offer a brief lesson summary. The backstory. The Gospel of John was written later than those of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, probably in the AD 80s or 90s. The Apostle John likely wrote his Gospel from Ephesus, according to long-held church tradition. John's authorship is established primarily by his identification as the beloved disciple, the disciple whom Jesus loved. As our text in John 4 begins, Jesus and his disciples had left Judea and were heading to Galilee, where he made the headquarters of his ministry. For this journey, Jesus chose not to take one of the two longer routes in order to avoid Samaria, John chapter 4, verse 4, as some Jews would do. Samaria was the central region of what had been the kingdom of Israel, with Judea to the south and Galilee to the north. Travel between Jerusalem and the region of Galilee would take about 3 days on the reliable Roman roads that ran through Samaria. The backstory ends here, and our lesson begins with the next slide. Verses 5 through 6. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. Verses 7 through 9. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Verses 10 through 11. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Verses 12 through 14. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Verses 15 through 17. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Jesus saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. Verses 18 through 19. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that sayest thou truly. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Verses 28 through 29. The woman then left her water pot and went her way into the city, and saith to the men, Come, see a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Christ? A brief summary. As his popularity grew in Judea, Jesus decided to travel north to preach in Galilee. The shortest route would take him through Samaria, a route many Jews would not consider. Jews and Samaritans were hostile toward each other, a hostility that was rooted in a long history of conflict. The Jews were the descendants of those of the southern kingdom of Judah in the Old Testament, while the Samaritans were the mixed race descendants of the northern kingdom of Israel. Tradition said that Jacob had dug a well near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. A short distance away were, excuse me, were mountains Gerizim and Ebal, where people had recited God's blessing and curses at the command of Moses. Some 14 centuries before this writing, Joshua stood on Mount Ebal and encouraged all Israel to keep God's law. Also near this was Joseph's tomb. At midday, Jesus and his disciples arrived at Jacob's well, about half a mile from the town of Sychar. Jesus was weary, so he sent his disciples for food while he stayed at the well. At Jacob's well, Jesus asked a Samaritan woman for a drink. The woman reacted with surprise, acknowledging the history of conflict between Jews and Samaritans. In response, Jesus continued to expound on the contrast between renewal by water and renewal by the Spirit, using the term living water. Thanks for listening. And remember, every Sunday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, I release a new video for the upcoming Sunday school lesson. For those of you who have not subscribed, please do so. Thank you so much for all that you do to help this channel grow, one viewer and one subscriber at a time. Stay safe and may God bless.